at Lilyfontaine in 2019, I unveiled the Guild Distinguished Service Award.
Yes.
And we presented that to David Batten. And if you'll recall, Covell Brown was the, if you will, the fire starter behind all of this. He had the idea that he wanted to recognize what David Batten had done for the Guild, but he wanted to develop an award. And he had the idea to make a statue of David in his uniform when he was a young trooper. And that would be what we would have as the emblem of this Guild Distinguished Service Award. And so Covell commissioned an artist, and we had the statue completed, and it was done in time for Lilyfontaine in 2019. And David Batten was the first recipient of that award. And then our second recipient was someone else who you know, Lice Bersauskas.
Oh, great.
And last year we presented it to Lice for all the work that he had done in our Guild Stewardship Program.
Yes.
And today we would like to present to the third recipient, which is Jean Bell, for all that you have done for the Guild, for the bursary program for our families, and all the support that you have provided to our soldiers, to our regiment, and the Guild over the years. For those of us in uniform, we serve out of a sense of duty. You serve out of a sense of love of people, a love of family, and a love of our great regiment. And for that, we wanted to thank you, and we wanted to honor you as the recipient of our Guild Distinguished Service Award. Now, I'm going to put the picture of it up on the screen so that you can see it. And you tell me when you can see, because that's me presenting it the first time to David Batten. Can you see that?
Yes, I see that. Oh, look at that statue. Wonderful.
Oh, and it looks like David. On the base of the statue, there will be a little brass plaque that goes with your name on it. David,
yes.
First name, and then Lice, and then Jean. Now, I wasn't sending the statue to you in the mail, so I want to show you. But what I was sending to you was this. Just a moment. Can you see that?
Oh, yes, yes.
So as you can see, Guild of the Royal Canadian Dragoons, the David Batten Guild Distinguished Service Award. And this medallion, and it has a springbuck on the other side. This is for you. And I had really hoped that that was going to arrive in time so that I could give it to you, but it will arrive. And Barb will pick it up at the mailbox. And,
yes.
And then you will have it.
Well, that's so exciting and such an honor, my heavens.
Well, Jean, it's been an honor for us to both know you, to be able to spend time with you and George over the years, and just to thank you for your giving, your sharing, and your love that you have shown to the members of the regiment and their families over the years. And for that, we absolutely wanted to say a big, huge thank you.
Well, thank you very much. It was my pleasure. I mean, I think back when I first started, and the fellows went over to Cyprus maybe, or someplace, and Appleton, what's her name?
Mike Appleton?
Mike and Danielle.
Mike and Danielle.
Danielle.
Yeah.
Danielle was more in charge of the women left behind. She had a big job then.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen so much anymore.
Well, the other reason that we wanted to do this with you today, we've had a project that we've been wanting to get kickstarted, and we have done, and it's oral histories of key people that have impacted the regiment over the years who have served. We've interviewed Don White, who you know.
Oh, yes.
And we wanted to do this interview with you. And then we need to get to work, and we need to interview the Jack Dangerfields, the Daryl Deans, the Clyde Milners, the Clive Eddies.
Yes.
The Mike Appletons, and on, all these guys, because they all have a story to tell. Well, in fact,
Yes.
probably got a lot of stories to tell. But when we come to writing the next edition of the history, whenever that comes, we will be able to go back, not only have the sources that we have today, but we'll be able to go and lean on these oral histories, and they will form part of our history in our regimental archive. So that's why we wanted to do these oral histories and why we wanted to do this interview with you today. And I really want to say thank you for agreeing to participate. And I want to thank Rochelle for agreeing to be the interviewer. She was a great radio announcer and interviewer at a time in her past when I was a very young cadet.
Sure.
Yes.
And Brian was the cadet liaison officer. And in fact, if you want to drill down, he's the reason I'm serving in the regiment today, because he's the one that told me I needed to go to RMC, play football, and become a dragoon. So there's a connection for you.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. And you did it. So good.
So with that, I would like to hand the microphone over to Rochelle, and I'll let you and her have a talk, and I'll just sit back and listen and enjoy. How's that?
Well, you speak so well. I'm really impressed. You know, you could write a book because you got all the modern words, and it's very good. You're a good speaker.
Well, thank you. And just so you know, I am writing a book, and I'm part way into it, and it's a labor of love, which I've been enjoying doing. So anyway, I'll pass.
Is it a mystery or?
No, it is an autobiography of my life and experiences. I'm really doing it for myself and my family, but it's really, really fun exercise to do.
Well, you men have a record, you know, what year you did this, what position you went to. It's very good.
It's a good framework to help you to remember.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And often you remember the posting, and then there's the thing, oh, yeah, we were there from that year to that year, and oh, yeah, we did this and that. And
yes.
That. That's the only way. Or when the child was born, where were we when this child was born? Oh, yeah.
Okay, you have the mic.
Okay, well, first of all, Jean, it's so nice to see you, and definitely congratulations on getting the Guild Distinguished Service Award. It is definitely well deserved.
Utterly amazing. Thank you.
And I kept
you
it
know,
a secret.
You knew about that?
I knew about it.
Oh, yeah. She knew a lot of things.
Yeah.
No, I must say it's a privilege and an honor for me as well to be able to speak to you today and do this interview, because, you know, I think it's going to be precious. So with all due respect, now I must say we all know Jean Bell as an avid golf player, an avid tennis player, a traveler, the unofficial RCD photographer.
Yes.
That's and we have proof of this. But now we would like to know also, who is Jean Bell? Like, tell us a little bit about yourself, Jean.
Well, you mentioned my hobbies. I was born in Chicago, Illinois, and I came up here with my parents when I was 3. So in 1964, I took out Canadian citizenship. So I'm a real Canadian now and support it. And I even sold my place in Florida because I don't like those Americans.
I don't think
they're tax laws. You like Americans, they're tax laws.
They're tax laws. So.
Wow. No, and so I guess when you came to Canada, you said you were in 64? No, you came when you were
in 64, I became a
Canadian citizen. Okay.
Yeah. So you came in 1938.
Yes.
Okay, 1938. Okay. So what was your background like as far as education is concerned? What did you
Well, I went to a public school and I was in the same class, grade 1, as Jim Purcell's wife. So that's
Oh.
how we got together again.
the connection.
Yes, uh-huh.
Aha.
So, and then I went to Havergal and I like to move around. And I went to Havergal and St. Clements. And then I went to Northwestern, which is in Chicago. And my parents had both gone there, and my sister went there. So it was just following in everybody's footsteps. But I came back here, got married, had 2 girls, and what else would you like? I worked for my father to start out the summertime, and then I worked at the Children's Aid. Then I worked for a dentist. I'm going
Okay.
there. Worked for a dentist, and I loved it because it was people all the time.
Yeah. That's it.
Coming in, and but I learned reception and taking X-rays and pulling teeth and things like that. Oh, lots of fun.
Oh, I bet. So your love of people already started there,
Yeah.
did it?
Yeah, and then after that, I went back to St. Clements, where I'd gone to school. My daughter Barbara went to school there, and then they hired me to be the alumni representative. So I started that program up and was in charge of all the alumni events, running, dinners
Planning.
at the Royal York and things like that. And then I was there only 5 years, and I left that so I could marry George, because if I didn't go with him, I'd never see him.
So when did you meet George then?
2004.
No, that's Jim.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
that's
Jim.
Yeah.
We won't say it. We won't say it.
I was gonna say, I think you met George a little bit before that, because
Probably in 1988, 87,
Yes,
86.
1988.
Okay.
But we knew each other, hello, how are you? Because we both belonged to Thornhill and played tennis against each other.
Okay.
But after George,
His wife passed away.
after
Josephine.
Josephine died, and the man, Jack Snow, that I was seeing died, we got together, played tennis.
And
Would you
who
like
won?
to go out to dinner?
But when you played tennis, did he win or did you win?
I won.
And when you played golf, did he win?
I
Or did
won.
you win? Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I
So
knew-
you were pushing the envelope here, right?
Yeah.
So when you married George then in 1998, was it your first introduction to military life?
Yes. Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
And what was your impression? How did
Oh,
you?
I loved it. I loved the glamour, the respect, the routine, just everything about it.
The travel
yeah.
and the support.
Yeah, well, and the people. I mean, they were wonderful. And everybody helped me because they knew I was new. And I got a lot of guidance from the wives and the drivers. Where to stand.
Oh yeah, with all the traditions and all this, I guess.
Yes,
Eh?
yeah.
Oh.
Mhm. So it was lovely. And the hardest part was figuring what all those letters meant.
The acronyms like
The acronyms.
Oh
TIC.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, boy.
Everybody talked in few letters, and I had no idea what everything
Yeah.
was.
Oh, I don't blame you. We still don't quite know sometimes what they all mean. So
Yes, yes.
you must have had a little cheat sheet, eh? With, oh yeah, that's what it means.
Well, I always wrote down everybody's name and their wife's name, and so when I went home, and then taking pictures, that helped me because I had to put a name beside the pictures.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then when he was Colonel Commandant, you got twice as many more people from different regiments. So
Right.
it was a lot.
So I guess you managed to travel quite a bit to the different bases and.
Well, as RCD, it was mostly Lar, Petawawa, and
Cyprus.
Gagetown.
Cyprus.
Cyprus. And
As
Gagetown.
Colonel Commandant, then you had to go across Canada.
Yeah.
So that was many more. But it was most enjoyable, and everybody treated me so nicely, and we were really spoiled. And every time we went someplace, then George always added something else on, visit so-and-so, or this person or that person. So
Wow.
it was a wonderful time.
Good. So what was your interaction with, let's say, the spouses or the soldiers, or did you have a chance
Well,
to?
with the soldiers, I mean, with the driver, he and I were waiting around a bit.
Oh, okay. So.
But with the wives, like I remember Danielle, the first time she held a luncheon for me and introduced me to some of the young wives, and going into their home and listening to them talk about things, you really learned that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, that's true. Hearing the stories of posting and moving by
Yeah.
themselves, and
And
the kids. Sorry.
And trying to figure out, they had that hard job of getting a job because they weren't going to stay there very long.
Exactly. Yeah. You're always at the bottom of the list, really.
Yes, yes. So that was interesting to try and understand.
Now, are there special, I heard that you particularly like the base in Lahr, Germany.
Oh, of course.
Wasn't there something special there?
Yeah, that's my favorite. Living in the Black Forest was great. And at that time, George played tennis with Clive Addy out there. And lots of friends, lots of parades.
What about the Canucks?
Yeah, and the Canucks, of course.
Hey, that was.
Wish it was there.
You still have the Swarovski critters.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So you were collecting, I guess, those.
Yes,
Swarovski. Oh, good. And when George was the regiment, the colonel of the regiment, did you have a special visit with someone?
You mean like the prince?
Yes, yeah, that could be like a prince.
Yes, on the first visit, this was in, I think, January, the first year I married.
In 1989.
In 1989. I'm just this newbie. But anyhow, we went to England, took a train out to Highgrove, and had a nice visit with him. He asked me whereabouts I lived, And I said, in Thornhill near Markham. And he said, oh, I know that. That's the airport right there. So, you know, he'd looked into my references.
The Buttonville Airport.
The Buttonville Airport, yeah. So, and the men mostly talked. And then he said, you'll have to excuse me. My father was sick, so I have to go have lunch with Mommy.
Oh.
So there was a luncheon going to happen, but since Daddy was sick, he called on Charles to come into London
by helicopter.
Yeah, so his helicopter came and landed in the front lawn, and Charles went in, and off he went. But anyhow, we had a good time. And then the last time we were up in Scotland, and we went to the Queen Mother's home.
Yeah, in Burkhall.
Burkhall,
Yeah.
yes. And that was really very Scottish, wallpaper all over the walls, and, you know, tartan.
Yeah.
You could see the River Dee where she fished, and
Yeah.
you know, it was good. Nice, comfortable chairs.
So was it just a visit again, like just a tea or something like this?
I believe when the CO leaves and when he comes in, he gets a visit with Prince Charles.
Yeah, because he's the commander-in-chief of the RCD. Yeah. Oh, God. So you met him twice?
Yes. Well, and then all the times he came to Petawawa, and we stood in circles and met him.
Met him at the airport.
Yeah.
Met him at the airport. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and this last visit in Toronto, when he came to Canada, did you have a chance to meet him again?
When was that?
When was, Nicholas was his equerry at that time. Our son was his equerry, and he was with Camilla at that time. That's in.
No, didn't do that. No.
Okay.
We went up to Sudbury. After he arrived in Toronto and made a little speech, then he flew up to Sudbury to see
Bob Ray, the premier.
Bob Ray was there, yeah, and Diana. And they walked around, and it was very nice because we could really see them then.
Yeah.
We were in the front row.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good.
It is.
Yeah. So you had a good time all the 12 years you spent with George.
I certainly did.
Wow. But unfortunately, when he passed away, though, the beauty is that you kept the relationship with the regiment. And you also decided to sponsor the Lilyfontaine Memorial bursary. So
yes.
Why did you decide to do this, and what does that mean to you?
What was the first question?
Why did you stay in touch?
Yeah, why did you stay in touch? Yeah.
Because for the funeral, Canton Leslie Stewart just came down and took over. Running the funeral and everything. So that was great. So they said, that was in October, and he said, do you want to go to Lilyfontaine? And I said, oh, I'm sort of nervous going by myself. Well, so they took me up, and that, broke the ice. I've done it once, now I can go. So, what was the second question? Yes.
The bursary. Yeah, the bursary.
That was Jack Dangerfield. He called and said this is what they were planning and would I like to head it up. And I had to think about it, and he called me back, well, are you going to? And yet, yes,
pressure.
I thought that would be good. And I can't remember the man's name. He lived out in Oakville, and he did most of the work with the bursary, getting the different banks and stuff. All I did was write letters.
Oh. So what
Thank
does
you.
that bursary means to you, though? Is there a special importance attached to it as far as you're concerned, or?
Well, yes, I think it's perfect for George to be behind this with his academics and interest in education. That's the important thing. I'm sure that's why Jack thought of me. But, and I hope in the future that it carries on and more, maybe more young people get to receive the bursary.
Bursary. Oh,
Mhm.
I'm sure we'll talk to the colonel of the regiment here, and I'm sure I'm sure he's going to carry on with that
Well, that's good.
wonderful
good.
initiative. Oh my.
Yeah.
Now, you know, Jean, we're always talking about the RCD and the regimental family, and not only the RCD, but also the other Armor Corps regiment, and as well the association. So what do you cherish more about this? Or do you have special memories that you would like to share? Or what's important for you with the regimental family and the Armor Corps Regiment, the association?
Well, I think now, yeah, she pointed at something and it went.
Let's say, what would you cherish?
Well, I think George and I went to everything that was announced. He wanted to go and support. And I loved going and meeting all the people, and I'm chatty too, and I didn't mind walking around and introducing myself. And
Good.
so, and the association, you know, the Kingston one, the Toronto one, Petawawa, you know, it's all good.
Good. So,
and then visiting the other regiments, like then he was invited to the Queen George Rangers because he was involved with them too, and the Horse Guards, and the Ontario Regiment. Yeah, there were quite a few. So we went to everything.
Okay. Any special memories of all those visits and people you met, or anything that comes to your mind?
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Well, the association, for example, you must have had a chance to meet veterans and, you know, people that have, like Mr. White, for example. Did you meet him?
Oh, yes. Yes. Donnie, we went to his picnics.
Oh.
At his home. And I can't think of his wife's name, but she was a real charmer. Mm-hmm. And they bought this home on one of the islands, and they went there all the time. They loved it. But the more you go to things, the more, you know, and even the CNE, when the association walked by and we'd wave and go in and.
Oh, so great memories, eh?
Yes, yes, uh-huh.
And then Jim came into your life.
That's right.
Yeah, so when did that happen?
That was 2004. His wife had just died. And so since we all went to school with her and we're all down in Florida at that time, we had a little dinner and there was an empty seat beside Jim. So I went and sat there. And I said, you know, I'm going up to Petawawa next week. And he said, well, come over to my place, or do you want to stay there? Because he had the cottage at Deep River.
Okay.
So that was another nice coincidence, because he felt like he knew a lot of it. So he loved it. And he said if I was ever going to live again, he'd go to our
RMC.
RMC. Yeah. And he loved all the people, and they were so good to him, you know.
So was it for him, now when he met you, was it sort of his first introduction to military life? Like,
Oh, yes. Well, I guess he would know being up at Deep River.
Yeah.
He would know about it,
Yeah.
but he wasn't involved or anything, you know.
Oh my. And I think he was a great supporter of you, because he was always happy and funny.
Oh, yes.
And we always had a great time with, and interested also in what you were doing and
Yes.
what was happening.
And we had a lot of the group out to his cottage for dinner,
Ah,
you know, so that made it very relaxed.
yeah.
And
yeah,
you saw different ways of the people.
absolutely. Another side of the people. Like,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, right. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Now, would you have any suggestion, Jean, on maybe how we can better serve the regimental family? Like, you know, over the years that you spend with George and then with Jim and all the people that you met and that you talked to, is there something maybe that, you know, the regiment or the guild could improve on, or any
Well,
thoughts on this?
I think you're doing a fantastic job, and somebody is coming up with wonderful ideas here, and with all the new things. I would just be interested in having new people get involved, or the young students get involved, or more bursary or that, because the Army seems to be running very well.
Yeah.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah, so it's a good thing that we have the colonel of the regiment here, and the
Yeah.
guild as well, you know, some other person from the guild, so I'm sure they've been writing this down. Well, is there something that you would like to add, Jean? Any thoughts, any memories, any
Well,
comments?
You know how I took pictures all the time, and I don't even have that little camera that Matt McDonald gave me at one dinner. You know, he gave me a toy camera as regimental photographer. But I've got albums full, and I know Kevin Languille or whatever takes many.
Yeah, okay.
But these were more personal and more people that I think he was taking military.
Yeah, more military, yeah.
Yeah, but can I give them to you? Or not to you, but to the regiment?
To the regiment.
You've got a museum going, and you have that big picture of George.
Oil painting.
An oil painting?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
To answer your question, those pictures would be cherished, because
yeah,
take them and digitize them and put them in our archives as a part of our history and a part of the families. And that would be very well received whenever you wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mom took very careful notes on who is in the picture.
Good.
Yeah.
And you know, those pictures that you took and that you share with people, they are incredibly special, and everybody loves them. And we have to thank you for doing this for so many people. I mean, it's always a joy to receive your picture, and oh my God, because it was such a as you say, it's a personal touch, and it's
yes,
you know, it was just a pleasure to see you trying to catch a moment or something like this. So, oh no, it's, we thank you so much for this. And
Well, you know, I'm a little bit pushy, I guess, because I did get out there on
the parade square.
parade square and take some pictures, which you know, George was probably saying, don't do that.
Don't go there.
Yeah.
That's great.
But I hope I didn't start a bad tradition.
I think it was a lovely tradition, and I don't know if somebody took over, you know, but definitely it would be something to mention. Well,
that's all I can think of, but if I do think of many more things.
Absolutely.
I loved my trip to Cyprus that first year, and to fly over the mountains, Italy, and then arrive there and cross over into the
no man's land, I guess.
no man's land or whatever you.
The zone.
The buffer
Neutral zone.
Neutral zone.
side to the Turk side.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that was very interesting. Like I thought I was going to a foreign place. Well, it's just like here. So
Yeah. So who was there at the time? Who was the
Appleton.
Oh, okay,
Appleton.
Mike. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, were the Milner there?
And the not the Addies, the Milners were there
Milner,
because
yeah.
he was there on duty for the United Nations.
Yeah, Clive was the force commander.
Yes.
The Corps commander. Okay. So did you stay a long time in Cyprus?
Well, we stayed about maybe 10 days
Oh, okay.
because we toured around Cyprus and one day over to the Turkish side and buy all new clothes.
And I think you bought a carpet too, didn't you, while you were there?
Bought a what?
Carpet, a Persian carpet.
Well, I did in Turkey. I bought one. Yes.
And I think also the lace, there was a lot of handmade lace, and you could have custom made jewelry.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
But the springbok came from Africa.
Yeah.
I bought that, and then somebody on the base put a base on the base.
So did you manage to get to South Africa?
Oh yes, I loved it.
Okay. Oh, so you traveled quite extensively, did you?
Yeah, well, that I did with a girlfriend, and Turkey I did with a girlfriend. But George and I didn't have any more time.
Hmm. Yeah.
But you did go past Lilyfontaine in South
Yes,
Africa.
yes, we
Okay.
did go. I asked the driver where it was, and he showed me a map, and he said, we're going right by it. And there was nothing.
No,
Just a big field.
Yeah.
did you see an actual springbok, a real one?
No. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're quite small. They jump up around, but not so many in town.
Yeah.
You know, we'd been out in the country. But it was a wonderful life. I'll never forget it.
Yeah. Oh, and I think you
All
have,
these people.
yeah, because you're a people's person, and you know you're so easy to get along with, and you're so funny and interesting, and
No, I'd say that about you.
beautiful, and
Yeah, I'd say that about you too.
and you know what? Everybody says that about you too, Jean. So how wonderful you've been, and for the regimental family, you know, your influence was so important and so cherished. So I'm sure that everybody you met and everybody that met you, you know, thought you were just a wonderful lady. So, you know, maybe we should, would you have anything else to add, or?
How did I compare with George's first wife?
You know what? Unfortunately,
Well, I did meet his
did
first,
you?
and it was on a visit to Germany. And she was, Jean, she was an elegant lady, as are you. And this just ties into what I wanted to say at the end, because when I think of a colonel of the regiment, I think of George Bell, because George Bell, there were two other colonels of the regiment before him, but he really set the bar very high.
Yes.
He was so engaged, and with him was this wonderful lady, Jean Bell. And you had an impact on me. You had an impact on Charlene, my wife.
Yes.
Impact on my son. When you had us over to the Thornhill Golf Club for dinner when we were in Toronto.
Yes.
Then when I was down in Pennsylvania, and guess who dropped by to visit on her way to Florida on the way down and the way back?
We did.
You did. And that personal touch of Jean Bell over those years had a huge impact on me personally and my family. And I just, by extension, I know that the impact that you had on the families, the wives and the soldiers in our great regiment. And all those photographs that you shared, all the letters you wrote, all those parades and dinners that we were at together, and the lasting legacy of the Lilyfontaine Memorial bursary, how that will impact a number of young people for years to come. We can never thank you enough for what you've done for us. And we have been blessed by getting to know this great lady, Jean Bell.
Well, thank you so much, Peter. And everybody, you know, they've all been so good. And I received so many letters of, remember when we did this, or I remember this trip to Holland and this one to Cyprus, and, you know, so many different letters.
Well, memories are great to have, and
Yes.
and you created a lot for all of us.
Oh, good, thank you. Well, I'm the benefit of them too.
But you got a very special daughter there, and I hope that your medallion arrives here in a couple of days via Canada Post, and that you'll be able to sit that in your mantle and enjoy that. Hopefully that will spark some more memories as well.
Oh, that's wonderful and very nice to have.
Completely unexpected.
How did you keep it a secret?
We almost spilled the beans when I spoke to you last weekend, because when I rang Barb's phone, I didn't know you were in the room right at the start. I asked about the thumb drive, and I started to ask about the package, and then I heard your voice, and I thought, Peter, be quiet.
Yeah.
Don't say it. Don't say anymore.
I would have thought you meant the little picture that you sent us.
Okay,
You know.
well, anyways, I just hope that this arrives in the next couple of days unscathed. And I just want to thank you once again for agreeing to do this with us, and for blessing us over the years by just being yourself, by being Jean Bell, and we love you.
Thank you so much to the whole regiment. Very nice.